What is going on, man? It is your boy Tre.Trades back again with another video for you guys. Today is not going to be a live trading session. It is going to be a trade recap. I'll get into that in a second. However, if you look here, you will see that this is a Lucid funded account. This is not an eval. The eval that I started Friday, I did end up getting that eval passed today. The reason that I do not have the recording for that is because I did take somewhat like of an intraday trade or a position that I took with very low size for a lot of, well, not a lot of points, but well, I guess it was. I had a wide stop, right? But it was very low size, and I was looking for the trade to play out over a couple hours, or I figured it would play out over a couple hours for us to go fill in this gap. I'll do a recap over my thought process for that and everything, but the reason it just wasn't recorded simply because the initial trade I took was at 12 a.m. or around there or something like that. That I placed a limit order, then I went to sleep. When I woke up, I ended up realizing that I ended up losing that first position. It was around like 5 a.m. when I ended up seeing it because I had to get up early this morning, and then I ended up placing another limit order. Got tapped into a second entry and then added on to that position as well. So I ended up basically just making back the money from the first loss, honestly. And then after that, I came back to the charts later in the day, ended up catching along somewhere up in here, just a quick reversal trade. I did go in heavy size, but ended up getting the account passed. I will say with Lucid, what's pretty cool is how quickly they end up moving the account to fund it. Like literally, soon as I ended up passing the account, I went over to the actual dashboard, and the account was already like, you had it up in the corner here saying that you're ready to move to fund it or whatever you done for the day or something like that, which was pretty cool. So yeah, this is my first Lucid eval that I've passed. So to be the first Lucid account that I've had that'll be funded or whatever. Only need $100 each day in order to lock in a payout. We'll need a minimum of 5 days, somewhat similar to Top Step in a sense, just a little bit lower. I'm still gonna be aiming for around 2K. That way I can still lock in $1,000 payout. I think the max payout for these accounts is 1,000. And then I'm also probably gonna end up getting more accounts over the week, but I really just wanted to see how this goes, simply because this is the only funded account I got right now anyway, right after blowing the pro account Friday. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get into that. I just wanted to show this for proof, right? So you see that it does say Lucid funded and not Lucid Bell. I'm gonna bring this Top Step chart over so you guys can get a better gist of my mindset, why I took what I took today, right? We'll go in here. This is not an actual account or anything. This is just, I literally just use Top Step to chart now. I don't have an actual like current account with them or anything. So it's just a fake account. I just use Top Step to chart because I like it way more than Trade.Trades. So, all right, looking at last night's session, right? Coming into the market open, I already had a pretty good idea that we would end up gapping down and it would be a pretty significant gap. I honestly thought it would be a little bit more than what it was. I think this gap down ended up being somewhere around like 200 points or something like that, right? So yeah, all the way down to the end of the 5-minute candle, it was a total around 300 points. But really, like the actual gap itself was somewhere a little bit more than 200 points, simply because of what Trump has said over the weekend, with far as the rhetoric that he spewed about what's going on over there in Iran with the Strait of Hormuz and everything. So when hearing about that news, in my mind, it let me know that likely price is about to push to the downside. 1 second. Yeah, so it gave me the inclination that price was likely about to push to the downside. So since me seeing that, my idea was going to be looking for longs after the market opens, simply because, but it was going to be looking for longs coming into this morning session, right? Which today, right now, it's like 5:31 in the evening. However, I would have been looking for the longs around New York market open. But what I was thinking to myself was, it's likely that we'll end up actually filling in the gap overnight, which is what I was expecting. So that's why I also decided to place a limit order for longs overnight and honestly just let it play out. It didn't happen in that manner. I ended up losing the first trade. And then, like I said, I ended up re-entering, right? So this purple line right here is going to indicate all-time highs. I was honestly thinking that we would probably fill this gap in and then push up and take out all-time highs, because it's also like strong drawing liquidity, because it would be considered previous day highs as well. So me seeing that and understanding that, okay, we have this gap, we likely going to fill it in. Now I would need to be looking for an entry. What would I be able to take that would place me longer, or place me at a great position for a long entry, right? So it get closer to around like 10 or 11 or something like that. And I'm seeing that market is starting to trend down. So we're making like lower lows and these lower highs, right? So lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, another lower low, right? So we're starting to push down. As I'm seeing that play out, or coming in, because I got off the chart somewhere around this time, right? So it was around like 10 or 11 or something like that I ended up placing a limit order. I'm seeing that we have this structure point right here and this high. If price is to break above this, I'm thinking that this is where we long to go fill in the gap. Now, when looking left, also far as where price could stop out once we hit the gap, I end up marking it up something like this as well, and I dragged it over. So dragging it over, this is all played out during New York session. However, at this point, we're still in no man's land. There's nothing right there, right? I'm looking to see, okay, if we end up coming up, we likely gonna break that, and then we'll end up pushing up, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to use a pretty wide stop loss, and I'm gonna go on with low size. I only needed like $630 to end up passing the account. So I went in with 2 micros, and I was going to use I used a pretty wide stop. I think it was like a 75-point stop. I think I used actually. So my stop loss was something like this, and TP was actually like something like this. So I had it like sitting at previous day high, at least to the point where we'd get up here and fill in the gap, right? And I felt like by that time I woke up, we'd be somewhere floating in this area. So I would be in profit and then be able to decide what I wanted to do from that point. First entry, ended up getting tapped in and immediately went in a drawdown. This would have been honestly a perfect position for shorts, if anything. So this ended up playing out around like 3 o'clock in the morning, actually, right? So I placed this limit order here right before I went to sleep, because in my mind, if price is starting to make higher highs and we push above, this would be considered like a valid breakout right here, right? So if we was to get above this structure point here, this would be a resistance level. We break above this, you could have ended up taking a trade like this if you saw it during the actual session itself, and you would have been up $600 off a standard contract that I normally use, right? Or something like that, or at least been able to go break even. So it would have been a risk-free trade. We started breaking structures to the upside. At that point, I would expect us to start longing. So I ended up getting tapped in for longs, and I ended up getting stopped out. What ended up happening right after that was I was like, all right, well, I got taken out. I saw the market around like 5 o'clock in the morning is whenever I saw it. When I had woke up, like I was talking about earlier, and I honestly just put my order limit literally at the same spot again. So just move it over. I put it at the same spot, got tapped into the trade, and we played around. We did not go hit stop loss this time. I used the same stops. That first trade I lost around like $300. I think it was like 301 or something like that. And so I end up going in with the same risk again. This time though, what I did was, once I seen that price created this point, I was still at home by this time around like 6:15. We started moving back into drawdown, and I was like, okay, that's fine. If we end up coming back up into this area again, so if we break this level right here, I'm going to add to this position. So I added another limit order, right? But this one was for like 8 contracts. So at that time, I ended up being tapped in for a full 10 once we got to this level here. And then I started seeing price run. Only issue that I had was, once ever that happened, I was already out and about, so I couldn't actually really manage the trade myself. I would have liked to just move my stops to break even, but with Tre.Trades, the way that it was looking, it was like I couldn't actually do that, and I was trying to drag my stops up into profit. So position ended up getting closed out in full. I actually had my lady get on the charge for me and close the position out, and then I ended the day up around like $80. So I made them back the money, and which I'm not mad about that, simply because like part of my rules is, if I'm up 1-to-1, or say I'm up on a position that I had previously lost on. So if I take one trade and I lose, that next position, once I have made that money back in a trade, part of my system and my rules is to lock in that profit to guarantee that I at least walk away break even. And then I'll be done for the day, or I'll look to take a third trade if I want to do that, right? So that ended up happening. I ended up getting stopped out in profit. So I really was up like 82, $81 or something like that at that point. And then I ended up getting back home somewhere around this time. So this was around like 11 or 12 or something like that. I got back home and I ended up taking a position. I'm not sure exactly which one it was because I don't have the charts up there anymore. I want to say it was something like this, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was right here. And I had a super tight stop and I was using two mini contracts on a position, and literally I only needed like 12 points because it was like 400 or 500 bucks or something like that, right? So end up running up literally as soon as I got tapped in the trade because price started coming down. And basically what I'm seeing at this point, right, is we're literally we're chopping, right? So price comes down, it pushes back up. Price comes down, it pushes back up. Actually, I think the trade was actually somewhere around here, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure it actually was. Yeah, I think this was actually it. However, either way, because I knew it was chopping for a minute, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna take a chance on this simply because it's also an eval. And then if I'm seeing that we're chopping, we're still following somewhat of a pattern. If I can catch the flip of this using pretty big size, and I'll be able to go ahead and pass the account really quick, which I did. Immediately went into profit and immediately passed the account, and that was that. So it was a winning day, and we got the account passed. So pretty simple, pretty smooth. That was really it far as like the trade recap itself. Outside of that, I didn't take a trade on the funded account yet, simply because the account ended up being locked anyway. So, and it was also later in the day. It was like really no reason for me to be trading anymore anyway, right? The only reason I was doing it literally is because it was eval. So, and I probably won't be trading this account tonight. I'll just come back in the morning and take my first trade on this account. I think going forward, my strategy for this account, since I only have $1,000 in drawdown, will probably be to use no more than like 5 micros. However, at some this is also to show you guys I was using like a pretty wide stop. It was really 75 points, but I had one set where I was playing around with it, so it's positioned or named as a 60-point stop or whatever. But it really wasn't that. It was a little bit less. Or I mean it was really a little bit more than the 60 point or whatever. But yeah, like I was saying, man, looking to use no more than like 5 contracts per trade. At the most I can see myself using on this account would be me risking 250 bucks using either 10 micros or like one standard mini, but no more than that. And the goal would be to take no more than just one trade a day, simply because it's low drawdown. I don't really have to like make too much. I only need $100 each day, and I'm not eager to try to like force it or try to like go for like big profit or like have to that point where I have to make money, if that makes sense. So I'm probably actually gonna end up getting a Top Step account again pretty soon. I haven't had a Top Step account in a while, so probably gonna buy one of those either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow and see if I can get that passed as well. The no activation fees, the no activation fee account, and then we'll be trading 2 accounts. So yeah. Outside of that though, man, that's really all I got. There was really also no real higher time frame influence with this trade. I literally looked at the 5 minute only for the trades that I took today, just simply because I already had a bias in my head of what I wanted price to do, and I was only looking for anything that gave me influence that or aligned with my bias for long. So there was really no, I wasn't looking for shorts or anything, and I wasn't looking for us to come back down to grab this low either. This just wasn't something I was saying. Maybe later in the day, like had it got down here and I actually been on the charts, I probably would have been like, huh, we might actually go take that out. I also saw this and I was pretty confident we would take this low out, which we did during a market open. However, for us to push down this far, just simply because we did have this gap, you don't normally see that from my experience. I wouldn't have been really looking at that too much, but had we got like a nice pullback and then another push, then yeah, you would have probably wanted to take shorts here to go take out this low, which would have been another level of liquidity. But that's really all I got, man. So I'll keep y'all updated on this account. And until next time, on a better living.